Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to episode 25 of Let's Talk Meditation with Heather Nieves. Today's title is Releasing the Tendency of Lack. Before I get into it, as a women's empowerment coach and founder of this podcast and I Love Me Yoga, I love helping women learn to love themselves and step into their fullest potential. But before we begin today's episode, I think we need to take a few deep breaths together. If you're driving, per usual, please keep your eyes open. This will still support you, but let's go ahead and take a deep inhale through the nose and let it all go out the mouth. Let the shoulders fall, release any physical tension, any mental tension. Inhale deeply, fill the belly up, take up space. And let it all go. Allow the audible sigh. Let it be weird. Permission to let it all go. And another inhale and release. I hope hay fever allows me to record this episode today. I've been struggling here in South Carolina with my sneezing, and I've just got boxes and boxes of tissues. But if you remember, and if you haven't listened yet to episode 23 and episode 24, please, after you listen to this one, you can listen to this first, but go listen to them because episode 23, we talked about getting motivated after a pause, refocusing on your goals and the desires. Then in episode 24, I guided you in those money mantras. I led a meditation to focus on shifting into receiving money. So then now what? Sometimes our energy shifts and we get back into the tendency of struggle and lack and noticing we're not where we want to be yet. Clients aren't coming in, or they are, but not enough and not fast enough, right? Can you relate to this cycle? Me too. I just recognized it again. So I made a decision to go attend a local meditation in the park hosted by Shiana Rivers. I interviewed her on this podcast. Go back. I highly recommend listening to episode 12. It's episode 12 is What is Reiki, Energy, and Spirituality? We had a beautiful conversation. She's such a beautiful soul. I highly recommend listening to it. So I nudged myself to get out and surround myself with others. It wasn't quote unquote convenient. I had to drive 30 minutes. I could only stay for 45 minutes and I had to come back home to take our son to a soccer game. But I'm proud of myself that I decided to show up. I really needed to surround myself with others, but not just anyone. I've been more selective of who I surround myself with and noticing their energy. And I know Shiana's events always invite in people with energy I want to be around. So during the Reiki guided meditation, I was laying under the trees. There was a nice breeze. It wasn't hot out. And I just felt so supported by the ground, like literally feeling grounded, just at peace, relaxed, at ease. And I was able to bring such a joyful energy home. My husband and my son, they had this like rushing energy to try to get out of the house on time, making sure my son has his socks on and his cleats and has the ball, you know. But I just brought this fun and positive energy home. And, I realized that I didn't have some profound experience or realization. And that right there is actually something I've been working on. I had to let go of the past and practice like releasing expectation of an experience to go the way it went before and just simply allowing the practice to support me in a way that it needs to in that moment. So what I realized was like simplicity was my aha that day. right? We tend to overcomplicate things. I am a Virgo, right? And just women, right? It's humans. We overcomplicate things. And I raise my hand admitting that. We set expectations, but it gets to be simple. It gets to be simple. And it also helped me realize, as someone that guides, coaches, mentors others, to just let that work be simple and allow the practices to support my clients, my students, and to not force so much information, so much wisdom. So that was really amazing for me. And then on Sunday, the next day I was connecting with my mentor. So that happened on Sunday. Monday, I was connecting with my mentor, Jen Kohler, who has also been on this podcast. Coaches have coaches. And an old cycle of lack popped up for me in our conversation. We were on Voxer. And she reminded me of Whitney Warmka. She'll be on the podcast next week. She had led a guided Reiki meditation that morning, and it was focusing on the root chakra, right? This was the perfect meditation for me to layer on the Reiki that was already moving through me from the previous day, to amplify it and to release my tendency of struggle and lack so I can make space to embrace gratitude and abundance. So that experience felt so profound. I sat for the guided meditation and it was simple at the same time, just like the day before. And I love how we are given what we need at the perfect time. And it became louder, my tendency to focus on where I am not, right? It's a habit. But that's the power of meditation, is we can interrupt that pattern. We can interrupt that loop. We can understand, okay, this is my tendency. I no longer want to continue thinking this way, because then we embody that energy and then our body just repels good things in life. So I gave myself permission to release it. And I freaking celebrated where I am now. It was an invitation into the now. So I marinated in gratitude and I just celebrated the success and abundance, all the moments in my life over the past 10, 20 years. And it amplified and it raised my frequency so much. It felt amazing. So this is the power of meditation. If you allow yourself to sink into the experience, right, rather than following distraction. And that's a story that we tell ourselves. Oh, I'm not good at meditation because I get so distracted. Well, you're giving yourself permission to be distracted. Are you inviting yourself to come back to the now, and practicing it again and again and again? So here's what I invite you to do with me right now. You're probably nodding your head listening to this episode. Recognize your tendencies. And in that moment, you get to simply decide to release it. I invite you, stand up right now if you're able to. Shake it out. Like, physically shake your body. Dance it out. Give yourself permission to release it. Say goodbye. Adios, right? And you can write out all of those tendencies, because we can't bypass them and just focus on the good. We have to feel them. What's this bringing up for you? What are you recognizing about yourself? What patterns keep resurfacing? And we have a choice to beat ourselves up or recognize the pattern and change, break the patterns, break generational curses, right? And then decide, right? Move through that and then decide to focus on and celebrate where you are right now in your life. Write down all that you are proud of in your business, in your personal life, and then literally stand up and celebrate. Celebrate each of those moments. So this isn't a guided practice per se, but you can make it one. I invite you to actually do this work on paper. I did it. I visioned it. And it was powerful. So write them out. Let them just keep pouring out. Sometimes when I think I'm done writing, I challenge myself. Okay, write a little bit more. Write a little bit more. What else? What else? What else? What else is so amazing in my life right now? What am I proud of? right? I even started thinking about when my 7-year-old son was a baby and all of the music classes that we got to do in Connecticut, in California, in South Carolina. Those are abundant moments. I didn't grow up doing those things. My mother couldn't afford them. I've hosted my first retreat last year. I have a podcast. I said I was going to do it and I did it. I've led tons of women on journeys to their unfolding, helping them be empowered to tap into their potential, to love themselves through yoga classes, through meditations, through group and individual coaching programs. I've invited beautiful friendships into my life. I've released ones that no longer served me. That is something to celebrate as well. I'm in a 17-year relationship with my husband. That is something to celebrate, right? So marinate in the gratitude of your life thus far. The big moments, the little moments. Oh, I went for a walk with my dog this morning and I didn't want to. I looked down at my belly and I said, you know what? You're so cute. Those moments are worth celebrating too. So, as many as you can think of, jump up and celebrate. Yes. Let your whole body feel it. I hope you feel more empowered. I'm excited and empowered just talking about this with you. It just kind of reminiscing on where I've been and what I've been able to accomplish and those moments that I have so much gratitude for in my life. Because then we're going to shift our energy into abundance so that we can become magnetic and attract more of it. So this is the work that I love to do as a women's empowerment coach, right? To be empowered, to empower you. That's why I'm sharing my story with you, these realizations I've had just this week alone. And if you want to take a step further, the work that we're doing in this podcast, and while you're in this energy of gratitude, double that list before you shift into writing down your desires and goals. And just get curious about your potential. You don't need to have pressure. Release that pressure. Just get curious. Let it be fun. I remember the last group coaching program I led. Excuse me. I had myself and the women collect sacred moments, right? Each day we collected sacred moments and we wrote them down and we brought them to our weekly sessions. And so this practice was so powerful because it helped us become more present, right? They're practicing meditation more often, most of them every day while working with me, and just pay attention in a way that we hadn't been, right? And I do this work along with my clients. And it's an invitation to cherish the simplicity of life. And you allow that collection to grow, right? We've heard the story of the ant. The ant alone isn't that strong, but an army of ants, they can lift like, I don't know, what is it, like 100 times? I don't know. This is not the best analogy or example, but we've heard the story of the army of ants where they can lift things that are like just you can't even fathom or imagine. Right. So, in the same way, collecting these sacred moments one by one, it helps us to be empowered by all that surrounds us, that we are always led and guided, and we can be present in our own power, in our own presence, in our own potential. Right. And it helps us to focus on abundance rather than lack or struggle. So, notice when your tendency returns, because it will. You do this work, it might return in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. We have to keep practicing. It's a muscle. And that's why it's so important for us to have a daily meditation practice. There's a lot of meditations in this podcast. Go back to them, even if you've listened to them before. In the last episode, I mentioned I'm expecting a baby in February 2023. And babies, they bring us abundance. They're our spiritual teachers. They help us be so present and aware of them and ourselves. Right? Motherhood is certainly a spiritual path and a reminder of our potential and our power. I always remind my clients, especially the ones that are mothers, whether they've birthed their children or not, or they're just raising children, right there, that's evidence of all you are capable of. You're a salesperson, you negotiate with your child daily, and you sell them on veggies and outfits to wear and places to go, and you lead them and you guide them. You are a leader, right? You're listening to this podcast. You are a leader. You are loving and nurturing and a vessel for good. You are powerful, worthy, and deserving of all of your desires. That's why it's so important for us to honor the nudges of launching our business. Any inner nudges, right? Let yourself be guided, trust. And having our own income is important as wives, as spouses, as individuals. Remember, money is simply just energy, it's an exchange. And it allows us to be more of who we are. And when we allow ourselves to be curious about our desires, that's the path right there. That's where we're guided to. And I'm here to remind you that it is safe to explore that part of yourself. You are more than a mom, you're more than a wife, you're more than an employee. Yes, like you're listening to this podcast. You didn't stumble on this on accident. You're a heart-led leader. And I don't know, maybe you're not confident in this knowing yet. If you are, I hope that this episode is empowering you more. But if you're not quite confident in this knowing yet that you are a leader, but you keep getting that nudge within, maybe you're unsure how to step into it. I shifted my mindset and energy this week. And in doing that, I've had more women reach out who work with me one-on-one. Right? Isn't it fascinating how that happens? We become magnetic when we do this inner work. So if you are interested in working together one-on-one, you can email me. I have a few spots left. ilovemeyoga@gmail.com, or reach out on Facebook or Instagram. And I would love to co-create with you for the rest of the year. I'll meet you where you are and support you in your unfolding and help you remember who the F you are. So in closing of this episode, I invite you to collect sacred moments, your breath right now. This is a sacred moment. The empowerment you received today, this is sacred, right? And I want you to share sacred moments with me. Reach out to me. I want to know what feels sacred to you. Sometimes when I see the wind blowing the leaves of a tree, I stop. I stop in my tracks. It's such a special moment to me. It's like spirit is speaking to me. Sometimes it brings me to tears. And I take a deep breath, and usually I whisper, thank you. Or I remember I had noticed a drop of water at the tip of a leaf on one of my indoor plants, and I watched it fall. And wow, it was like time slowed down. Or even if I hear a baby giggle, those are sweet sacred moments to collect. I collect those too. Right? So embrace simplicity. Release the tendency of struggle and lack, and focus on all of the abundance in your life right now. I just am so grateful that you're listening to Let's Talk Meditation with Heather Nieves. If you're enjoying the podcast, please don't forget to rate on Spotify or review on Apple. And you're always welcome to tag me on Instagram after listening. Let me know which episode is speaking to you. Have the best day ever, beautiful soul. I am so grateful that you tuned in today. I will talk to you soon.